Crypto markets taking a turn to the downside. Will ADA follow? Question everything, trust nothing. Welcome to Debate Crypto. It's your boy CryptoKeeper here for another episode of Magic Money Monday, where we dive into altcoins with the best in the biz as it relates to technical analysis. We got your boy Army Piper in the house. Army, hoorah, what's going on, brother?
What's up, brother? How you been, man?
Good to see you. Glad that you are here. And we've got your boy CVO Crypto. CVO, what's up?
Doing well, man. Thanks for having me on. Good to see you guys.
Thanks for being here. Make sure that everybody is following. We've got Army and CVO's information down below. When you do follow them, go ahead and smash that little bell notification. Let you know that they are going live over at Investing Bros and Leading Crypto. So make sure to do that. Let me jump into the chat real quick, see who is first. The first one I see looks like an Army Piper fan. Eric Wallen in the house. Eric, good afternoon. Glad that you're here. Mastermind, Griff, Jeff Plyer, and Crypto Gamer are the first ones in the chat that I can see. So welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you guys for being here. All right, cool. Well, let's dive right in. Let's take a look at the markets. We've been getting a little shaky. We're going to talk about that today. Let's see what's going on. Let me update my chart here. Well, update my market cap anyway. The global market cap is at 1.16 trillion with the T dollars. That's down 0.31%. Now, you might wonder why I'm slightly worried about that. We're going to get into that on the show. Bitcoin made a little bit of a move recently back to the upside. It's up 0.05%, up over 29K, $29,057. ETH at $1,819, still down a little bit, a little over 0.5%. Everything else rolling through the top 10, down maybe a couple percent. XRP down at 61 cents. That 57-cent number you've been talking about, CVO, you and your boy Magic, I think you just might hit it. Dogecoin at 7 cents, down 2.5 cents, and then Cardano, which we're going to be talking about on the show today, down a little bit over 1%, 1.34% at 28 cents. That's an interesting number to me. That might be something that I've been looking at as of recently to kind of stack some more of. I've been holding Cardano for a while, so I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about what's going on there. All right, cool. Let's get into it. Let me see here. Here we go. So Army, let's kick it off with you, brother. So nothing in the crypto markets, nothing if I could speak, nothing in the crypto markets wise can happen in terms of altcoins without Bitcoin making the move first, right? So what are we seeing? That is true. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always Bitcoin doing its thing, and then the alts are like, hey, wait for me. So what are you seeing on more of a macro level regarding Bitcoin? We'll kick it off with that.
All right, so let's go ahead and pull over my charts here. I've already shared them with you there if you want to pull us up. There we go. So I'm looking at Bitcoin here on the weekly. And for those that haven't seen it, I've got this Fibonacci channel that goes all the way back to the history here of Bitcoin. Let me make sure. Yep, I'm on the right one. If you go here, we take off some drawings here from previous so I can see here because they're going to drive me nuts. I'm a little OCD with my charts like TA Tim is. So there we go. Taking a look here, guys, going all the way back, you can see that we've always caught the golden pocket anytime that we've had the bear cycle going on. And this is the first time in the history of Bitcoin that we actually broke down below. When everybody was talking about, yeah, but Bitcoin's never had a recession going on when it's had a crypto winter. Well, that played out. For about 2 months there, we were in the golden pocket right here, and then we broke below it. Nice retest there on the bottom of the golden pocket. And now we've just been trading ever since we hit that our low there on Bitcoin, making, higher lows, so on and so forth. However, I do have some key lines on here that I want to show on the macro side for Bitcoin. And one is that this support line coming in at about 25,300 here. This is the previous retest of this double top here that we had before we had another sort of pullback there. That pullback coming from off of that line down to the bottom of that was about a 23% pullback. So we do have that, but I am watching now if we continue to the downside that Bitcoin could retest this previous resistance, which has already been tested once as support, and it would make sense for it to come down there with the stuff that we have been seeing with, September's normally has a red downside. And when we have a July that's down, an August that's a July that's down, then we have an August that's down, and then we start to go sideways in September. October should be where we start to see the flip back up. But I'm going to be watching this level closely. Now, one key thing that I want to point out is this blue line here running diagonally. This is the 786 on the Fibonacci channel here. And I have said numerous times, I believe even on this show multiple times, that I do not see, matter of fact, I was banking on it on this entire short range here, that we were not going to break the 786. And I still stand by that. Right now, I think that we're going to probably come down to retest this line, the support line at 25,300-ish. And then I think that we may hit this, and that's going to be our bounce up point. Now, to give you guys a little bit of hopium out there on the macro side, looking at going into the halving, which is going to be coming up sometime around April. So we're about what? About 8 months out from that right now, I believe, somewhere in that window.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually looking for us to be between the 786 and the golden pocket, which will be between $38,000 to $70,000.
Let's go.
Where I think what we should be at going into the halving event, which would be, I think it's probably going to be the lower side. I'm going to go more with that 38,000. I think it's probably going to come down and bounce right on up this as it's making its gains, its higher lows. You know what I mean? But I would love to see it in that range when we get there. And I think if the 786 doesn't get broken, things are still going to stay bullish. If this gets broken, guys, once we break a line, we typically come back to the lower level. And if we break the 786, guys, I'm looking at $11,000, $10,000 Bitcoin. So, yeah.
I tell you what, if that happens, Gareth Soloway is on the show quite a bit, and he has been talking about, literally coincidentally, that exact scenario, that exact number right there. Crusader and I are working out a Bitcoin mining deal right now, and we were kind of talking through some things about, the price action, difficulty factors, this, that, and the third. And one of the cool things about it for us as we dip our toes into the water, or dive into the water, as I should say, with that, is as those prices get lower, that difficulty factor gets a little bit lower, and we just stack more Bitcoin, because I think all three of us know full well where we think this is headed coming into this next bull run. So
yep, absolutely. So I do have one more thing that I want to show.
Yeah.
This is a Gaussian channel. I don't know if you ever played with one of these.
What is it? Talk to me.
So a Gaussian channel, it runs averages of price action to volume and momentum. And so like here, you can see where it ran up. It started to get tight here and then just took off. Once it started going sideways, that played out where it started getting wider again. And Gaussian's, and he's one of those old mathematician geniuses that, his theory, like Fibonacci, right, has become something that we use in charting. Right. But if you go back and you look at previous cycles here, I can't go back to, let me go to Bitstamps. I think I'll get the older history here. There we go. So if we go back and we look at the previous cycle here, when we came up out of the red channel during the bear market there, you can see that once we got on top of it and it turned green, we pretty much stayed with it. Now, going back to the last cycle, we did come back, but you can see the median line became our support minus the row dump that happened there, right? But just like when we're coming out off the top of it and we break below that, it becomes resistance, right? And so we have just now, as of the 31st of July, went back to green, guys.
Okay.
Once we go green, we don't typically go back to red. Like that's just not how it works. So this is very bullish when you're looking at this. Now, if we were to come back down and test that median, we're looking at 24.4.
Okay.
Which is not horrible. Matter of fact, I believe that there's somewhere down in that range, there's even a CME gap down there. So it wouldn't shock me, but that's not a horrible pullback. I mean, from where we are right now down to the median line, you're looking at a 16% pullback, and that would be right in line with what we've seen historically on that median. So
that's really interesting. I have not, if you've showed me that before, I have not seen that, the Gaussian channel. That's cool stuff. I did hear someone say recently that there was a CME gap somewhere around 21 or 20.
pull it up and
2
look. I've got
somewhere,
it.
I think.
I've got 1,001 charts, man. So let me find my BTC one here.
Yeah, if you
I'll
want to take a
see.
peek at that chart, I want to ask CVO. CVO, so you obviously saw just watched Army's analysis. Are you seeing similar supports and resistance levels as well? I know a lot of times the different analysts come to conclusions that are very similar, but for different reasons. Are there time horizons? You guys work on time a decent little bit that are coming up that kind of lines up with this overall thesis, or are you seeing something just totally different?
No, yeah, there's a good amount of things that line up, especially in the sense of timing, I guess would go. So I think that CME gap's at like 19 to 20K.
Okay,
By the way, I don't have it pulled up, but
got
I'll
it.
go ahead and share my screen.
Yeah, 21,230 is the top of it. The gap, the bottom of the gap would be 20,300. So
Okay,
yeah, that's
so
where
right
it's
in
at.
between 20 and 21. Okay, got it. Cool.
Yeah. And yeah, so just kind of going off of like last week when it was just, I think it was just you and me, Nick. We were looking for one thing and one thing only, really, and it was a push up into this region right here for Bitcoin. And the reason being was Monday's price action was right here. It was the last day of the month. I think it was July 31st. We were looking for a new monthly pivot, right? So the new average of price for the month of July, which we tend to revisit in the next session, which would be this month. That target was, essentially met. The reason I was looking at this, boxed area a little bit more heavily as well was a couple of other confluences. One of which being that if we look back at the June range, which was what we were looking at last time as well, which is this volume profile I have set up over here. I'll go ahead and kind of outline it really quickly, right? So, we were living pretty well with outside of this region for quite a while. Came up, took the high, back below. Into the range, essentially just came up, hit our average of price, back tested the overall range high at the moment. So in theory, we'd be looking to, rotate down over time towards the point of control, right? So that's essentially what I'm looking down towards. I think that, Army had 25,000 and some change, right? Was kind of his little area he was looking to. So that does kind of line up with a lot of the things that I'm looking for as well. We got a lot of things stacked up in this region from like 25.9 up to about 26.5, and then obviously overall the range and total goes down to like 24.7, which is what I think he just brought up as well, something along those regions. So yeah, I mean, things do definitely line up there. The only thing at hand at the moment would just be the local price action, right, that we're kind of throwing down right now. So there is a couple things that I'd be looking for. And one of which is, we just kind of came through, took the local low right here. Our week open, right, is going to be a pretty key level for the remainder of this week. We really want to see us, living back, holding and living above this region. I'm on the 4-hour time frame right now. You can kind of see on the 15-minute how we just kind of come down, swept that low, back up. Potentially, we're getting the claim of that weekly open right now. And when I look at this in a smaller time frame, I look at the previous week, right? So just kind of getting an idea of how we can slowly make our way down to those levels there. And when you start thinking of, everybody's kind of got the idea right now that Bitcoin will go lower. I think that, the main picture is that everybody's trying to short, or, the market's going to just drop. We definitely have a little recipe here to get another push back up and actually take out this local high here. And it's, this is our previous week high at the moment. This is essentially coming in right at that overall value area. We have just a couple of things just kind of lining up there. And then we do have from July a region right above that. So in potential attempts here to kind of just swing up and, kind of see these areas met and then a loss of it again, that'll be really something to look for. That would definitely be the recipe for a really nice short. Key is if we get that high. And that's just kind of like a short-term idea. Otherwise, yeah, the mid to long term, so next few days, weeks, whatever, is that even if we do come up and just kind of push into that $30,300 window again, that would front run our gold pocket just above us, right? I think if anybody's looking for anything, they're going to be looking for that gold pocket. We do have a nice volume target sitting right there from last month. So if you're going to get anything crazy, you got a couple things like maybe a local gold pocket in this region, but coming up, taking that high, aka taking last week's high. So when you think of a trading aspect, right, anybody that's entering any positions, most of them didn't enter it right here. They entered it here, potentially a stop loss above the high. So you're going to stop out every single person for the last week. And then only to finally get the move underway, right? If something like that goes down. Otherwise, it's the weekly open at the moment. Really want to see that held. Previous week lows coming in right here. And as you can see, the volume just right next to us. I mean, there's a very high chance we just nuke from here down. Yeah. Overall, gold pocket from the low to high comes in right here. There's a monthly level as well. You can see that's where basically the volume starts picking back up. This would probably be more so a speed bump more than anything. I don't necessarily think that'd be a reversal zone. And then, yeah, we'd probably be coming down into this region. So very, very similar regions. And it's just, kind of managing it along the way to see how we get there, I guess is the question.
Well, Army, let me ask you something in kind of off the cuff here that I was just thinking about. One of the things on Chart Prime is the breaker blocks, right? And and so my question is, a lot of times Bitcoin does things that, and it's frustrating, especially to people, even to people that are trading regularly. And I've seen this happen a lot, and I don't trade regularly, where everybody has this thesis that it's going down, it's going down, it's going down. And then the market makers basically are like, oh, everybody thinks it's going down. Let me figure out where everybody's shorting from, and let me go up there and tap those numbers, right? Are there any breaker blocks that are in play right now that could kind of confer with what CVO was just saying, to maybe fake everybody out, make that move up, wash all those shorts, and then make the drop? Are you seeing anything?
Yeah, if you want to pull up my chart on the daily here, I'm looking at Bitcoin on the daily right now, and we don't have any breaker blocks. So when we have our order blocks in, once the liquidity is drained out of them, they become breaker blocks then. So we do have a very high liquidity breaker order block, I should say, sitting right here at this reversal point. That's where it was formed. A lot of sell off there. The bears just dumped on the bulls, and
I like 31K, 32K in there.
Yep, exactly. So that's going to be coming in at like 31,466 up to 31,863. And it's got very high liquidity. So if it does come back up, watch for it to work its way back up these fibs here. And you can see I got the fibs laid out from the low to the high here. And that is actually giving us rejection right now, which was previous support on the 382. If we do break above this and we start to climb our way back up this fib ladder, watch for that range of 31, 31,
which is exactly where CVO was talking about. Like, it goes up there, plays little games with everybody's money.
Exactly. So, but we also have a very high order block sitting down here at about 25,750.
Okay, and how does that? Okay, you got a big order block there. How can that for somebody that's newer to trading? Why does that matter? Talk to me about why having a large order block at a certain number makes a difference.
So typically, think of them like magnets, liquidity magnets. So there's a lot of liquidity down there. This is where a lot of people, put stop losses at, put orders in, so on and so forth. Institutional buy.
Okay.
And like when I say institutional, I mean like Bit gets order blocks, stuff like that, right? This is all your makers. Makers have orders down here, right? So it acts as a magnet, just like up here. There's a lot of sell orders where people sold off, and then people put stop losses up there, and that's where it's running at. Because if I put this on a 4-hour, you'll see that block up there. If you look, it's going to fit right in this range here, and it came all the way down to 34. So people put their stop losses right above these previous wicks here, and that's where they're sitting at on that bigger block on the daily, right? So think of them as magnets. Like, there's liquidity there, there's high liquidity here, very high liquidity up here. This price action tends to go into these magnet zones and get pulled towards order blocks. So
yeah, and it's interesting. It's interesting who that ends up playing out very well for financially. It ends up playing out very well for the market makers financially versus everybody else trying to trade it.
Well, I'm a trader, and I'm always a market maker, and I'm usually using somebody else that makes bad calls as my liquidity exit. So, and I
CVO, I think I've heard you and Magic talk about that. How you can almost kind of analyze where people are shorting, where they're longing, and where there's a lot of liquidity, and basically use some of that for a setup for a trade, effectively, right?
I mean, essentially, I mean, you it's the key is being patient, right? So what I was just showing you a second ago too, where looking at, we moved into 30K last, or I guess you can pull it up. So just looking at this now, right? If you weren't in a position, it's not smart to enter one at the moment, right? So unless you're really like low time frame, you got a small scalp idea or something like that. But if you're looking for a swing move into, potentially this region or, back up into this area, Entering it here,
are we diddling in the middle right now?
Yeah, diddling in the middle, exactly. So you and when you're looking at what Army was just looking at as well. So yeah, I mean, looking for the liquidity below. I mean, the obvious area is going to be that last low, right? So and for multiple reasons. So if you're in the market, if you've been entering positions, or even just holding them in general and trying to capitalize on your potential, either your gains in general, or like if you've been making back anything from the losses from last year, you move your stop losses up right as you go. So a lot of times you'll see those regions come up and get tagged. Even for this one right here, right, if we're going to come down from this level here, at the time this would have been where everybody had their stop losses. Obviously that was just obliterated, and then potentially we come down into those levels. So it's just a game of that over and over and over and over again. So definitely something to add into your strategy if you're looking for that next swing position, because that is probably where the price action is going to go. Also, if you're looking to enter a position right now, where would you put a stop loss? It's pretty far away. So and like I said, most people aren't entering at those opportune moments, so they're entering like now, and then their stop loss is 3, 4, 5% away. We get those big pushes up just to knock them out, and then you get the move. So it's just patience, honestly, at the end of the day, what it comes down to.
Yeah, a perfect example of what you were just asking him, Keeper, is I have it on my chart right now about people looking for entries based on where people most likely have their stop losses, right? So if I was looking at this chart here, I was looking to short, right, I would put my stop loss above the previous wicks here, right? So why not set your entry there? Because those market movers are going to go grab that liquidity where all those stop losses are at. So we broke down here. We had the confirmation on our chart pattern from Chart Prime's rising wedge here. It gave a confirmation of the breakout. It retested perfectly on the line there, came back into it. But look, it ultimately came up and hit
that block,
the liquidity line where people had their stop losses set. So why not set, even if you want to put your entry here, why not have entry 2 and then go above where that stop loss would be at, and then run like a 1 to 3 on the way down, right? That's how I would do that. But yeah, you can definitely set your entries on that guesstimation of the liquidity hunters target there. But what's interesting here is on this one is that we have the measured move here. This is a smart move. It's based on momentum and so forth coming out of that pattern. This is actually the line that it says we should be hitting right in here at 28,380. And we've almost touched it a couple times. It still is in play, and it's grayed out because it hasn't been confirmed as bad or good yet. So I'm definitely looking at this week, especially with the rejection just now into 382, that we're probably coming back down to 28,380, 28,400 to close out this this target here on this.
I learned so much from these streams from you guys, because I talk about it a lot. Like, I bring you guys on because I don't actively trade very often, and sometimes it's like overload. There's so much information coming in. But what I'm catching here, and that I really like about what we were just talking about, is there's some really simple ideas behind why. Like when you put on the fibs and the different mathematical reasons for why price action can happen here and there, okay, like I can see that, and you get lots of what I look at as like variables that could happen. But what you're talking about right now is really simple. Big money is either entering or exiting at this point or this point. So why would you not try to use that to your advantage? It seems like a very simple idea to me. If you can do what CVO was just saying, and be patient. What were you going to say, Army?
It's real simple. I hear people go all the time, it's just gambling. You'll lose money. You can lose money in it. Look, when I go to casinos, my best odds that I can get, and that is me racking my brain, drinking nothing, looking at the cards, going +1, -1 on high versus low card numbers to figure out the odds of the next card coming out being a high or a low card, right? And the best I can get on that is 49.1%.
49. Yeah.
Okay. When I sit down at a chart, I'm 50-50. It's either going to go up, or it's going to go down, or it's going to go sideways, and I break even. With some good technical analysis and the understanding of market moves and how market movers actually think, that second, third order effect there, and trying to get 2 to 3 steps ahead so that second, third order effect can follow through, and you were already used it as part of your plan. then you're adding those little tweaks of percentage into your 50-50. So just like on a rising wedge, the likelihood is that 70% of the time ish it drops to the downside out of a rising wedge. Well, that's a probability that you get to add to your probabilities of 50. So
right. No, I like it. And ultimately, this is all numbers games, albeit we're playing with real money here. So it's important to do one thing that we talk about a lot on here as well for everybody listening: risk management. Understand what your risk profile looks like. Understand, have that game plan, and try not to be emotional. Don't pull a keeper and say, I feel like it's going here. And then, trust me, it doesn't feel great when your feelings are off. So, F your feelings when it comes to trading. So smash that like if you haven't already.
I'm a keeper.
I know. There's a lot of people that are very offended. You guys can all hit the dislike button on me offending you right now and find a different channel. Smash the like. Make sure you're following Army. Make sure you're following CVO, and make sure you have the bell notifications on if you haven't done that already. All right, cool. So obviously we're talking about Bitcoin. Next, we're getting into some altcoins, and that's what a lot of you are here for. So although sometimes it can be boring because it mirrors a lot of what Bitcoin does, kind of lags behind, whatever the case may be. Let's switch over to ETH, the king of the alts, right? It's been moving down today. It's started to come back up a little bit, but it has been moving down today. Can you show me, Army, on the charts why you think maybe this is happening and kind of what you're expecting from ETH in the midterm?
So interestingly enough, right now, I've got an old trend line going on here on Ethereum. This is going all the way back to the bottom here when it was around 1,076. It wasn't the bottom. I guess it was lower than that. At one point, it went down to 882. I actually picked up about 7 Ethereum down here at $1,075. It was a beautiful pickup. Yeah. And so here's this trend line running up here right now as we speak. On this particular day in history, if you will, Keeper, we just tested it this morning perfectly on this trend line. So still bullish on it. We've had pullbacks, but that's healthy. You got to have retracements. That's what puts health back in the market. You got to think of it this way. So go back to the cameras and let me explain something to people, because I don't think a lot of people understand why pullbacks are healthy. Okay. So say it runs up, right? And then everyone starts selling off and everything, taking their profits. No one's ever gone broke taking profits. Bravo on you if you catch that point to take profit, and then it does retrace, right? Yeah. But when it pulls back, if I took out, let's say 10 grand profit, and when it drops down, I put that 10,000 back in, I just bought more Ethereum
than you had before.
Than I had before. What I did was I increased the purchasing volume of Ethereum without any new buyers coming in. That is what grows crypto. It doesn't take more people. It just takes more money. And so by taking 10,000 profit, that may have been, 5 Ethereum. Now I got $10,000 going back in at 1,500, and I added more buying volume of crypto. Because I now have more than 5 Ethereum. So that's why retracements and pullbacks are good.
And I agree with you, Army, but that can be a scary proposition as well, because I think a lot of people will give you pushback on that for 2 reasons. One, they might give you a little bit of pushback and say, what about the tax obligations? Which, hey, listen, pay your taxes. We are definitely proponents. Pay your taxes, do the right thing. Yeah, got to do it, right? Nobody hates or nobody loves paying taxes, but you got to do it. But I think the second part is, for me anyway, I'll speak for myself. If and when I pull profits from crypto, because I'm so long term on this, like the way that I'm set up and what I'm looking for, if and when I pull profits, it's for a reason for me, right? So I think that what you're saying is more on that active trading mindset. But what I like is that it also is a long-term mindset, because that's basically the trade that allows me to stack more as I continue to move up, right? But you have to have that technical analysis to understand, okay, here's an opportunity. Like, did this drop enough to make this profitable for me where I think this is going versus where it's at right now? Yes. Okay, boom. But if you don't have that information, if you don't really know where you're putting that, that ETH back in, that money back into ETH, right, then you're just kind of throwing darts at a dartboard,
Absolutely.
So, no, I love that.
So that's one of the things that really has to happen. Liquidity is super important. Trust me, when BlackRock looks at this stuff, they're not looking at it from the perspective of hodlers mentality. They're looking at it from the valuation of Bitcoin mentality and their how much money their customers and clients can make. When it comes to how much can they make, that's really dependent upon your traders, because the traders are the ones that go, I'm going to sell it for this amount, and that's what creates, and then it, the sell off, and then it drops back down, and then they go, I'm going to buy here. If there's no one to buy or sell, you're not buying or selling at any level. Traders add a lot of volume to buying and selling. So
yeah, for sure. Smash that like if you haven't already, peeps. So CVO, let me ask you this. Any interesting alts that you have been paying attention to recently? We're here to talk about altcoins. We're here to talk about crypto as a whole. You got any little sleeper picks going on as it relates to altcoins coming up?
It's all going to depend on Bitcoin's moves here, as we discussed earlier, right? The magnitude of the market. But yeah, if you want to show my screen here. So one project I was looking at for quite a while at this point is actually CRV.
Is that Curve Finance?
Yeah, and I know they had some rough news last week and what have you, but I've been looking at this old range that it's been in for quite a while. So, and just as anything else, right? It's one of those things where you have to kind of identify the support and the resistance and be able to put on some risk at the lows, and just know your invalidation. And what that means is, if this is an area where, all right, I'm going to look to see about picking some of this up. What is going to change my mind to the idea of like, all right, is this going to just nuke from here? Because it totally could, right? And that would just be essentially coming down and start losing some of these lows and living down below that region. But otherwise, this is the area where you want to, consider getting into it. And you have a nice little slew of targets along the way. And just as kind of Army Piper was talking about, you have to figure out a way to take profits along the way, and especially in the time frame that we're in now, where it's just not that explosive, 20x, 10x, type of environment where, I think everybody gets really wrapped up in crypto, where it's like they don't ever want to let go because they're so afraid of missing, the real move. And it's like myself included, back
dude, I'm
right?
included in that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is. It's the hardest emotion you'll ever face is when something is actually moving up decently and you're actually down on it still from the high, and it's like, what am I going to sell? I'm only down 50% now instead of 70, or whatever the case is. But if you can kind of strategize along the way and like know that you can exit here, and like Piper said, buy back on the pullback, at least increase your holdings, so that over time, when we do get back into those bigger times in the market, things can really move from there. But fresh entry wise, looking at Curve, barring the move down potentially here on Bitcoin, it's got a really nice little runway here, right? So it did already have about a 30% move off the low here. It essentially just came down and swept this low here. I think it was like a 30%. This looks so small, but this was like 30%, which, could you imagine if Bitcoin had a 30% day, right? It'd be outrageous. Right. But had a nice 30% move just about to the point of control, right? That high volume target. And for now, it's potentially you can come and pick look for this region, or wait till we kind of come up and claim this point of control. And the reason I say that, a lot of times you do say don't diddle in the middle. This is not a leverage trade idea here. This is a more of a mid to long term play, a couple weeks, couple months, spot buy and hold, right? So and with the point of control being so low in the range, it's a really nice area to kind of look for to get that claim. But otherwise, this does have the potential to drop out from here. But looking at probabilities, this is one that I would consider to try to take it up to some of these regions. Like I said, you got a really nice couple of targets along the way. Overall, macro gold pocket is actually at the top of the range here.
What made you look at this one, CVO?
It's just a project I've been looking at, and then actually on Friday I went on Wendy O's show, and that was the topic of the day. So I just kind of looked at it again today.
Okay.
But yeah, no other reason. And like I said, I don't know what the news is going on with it. I know that there was some negative things last week. But once again, just looking at a technical side, all we did was come down, take the quarterly low, got to run back to the point of control. And now we're looking to see if we get a little rotation here. So a big area if you get up to it. And this would be,
assuming a huge move.
Yeah, this is like, not
300%.
getting married to this, but this is like a 200% move, right? So not totally outlandish. We've seen it before, things like that happen in crypto all the time, and it's usually accompanied by some random news article. but you got other areas along the way here, right? So you got, you know, $1.07, you got $1.21, $1.66, so on and so forth. And this would just be the major, if we saw this target come up, you know, in the next couple of weeks, months type of deal, like that'd be like the, you know, probably cash out and look for that major pullback if you get it. But that's what I'll be looking at. And then Doge is another one that's kind of been on my little radar for quite a bit.
Okay.
Shiba and Doge tend to kind of move together. I think that's, you know, can be agreed on, I guess. But Shiba had a really nice move up over the weekend. Doge did one of these few things that, you know, I tend to look for. So I look at high time frame ranges. So once again, not like a overnight, you know, leverage 10x play here. This is more of a spot buy and hold, you know, potentially a couple days, weeks, months, whatever it may be. But we're back in this old range, you know, slightly kind of whipping through here, but you're holding it as support overall, 4-hour time frame, and just looking to see if we get that rotation, right? So just like any other, you know, aspect when you're looking at it, you know, when you come back into these old ranges from the high, you know, you tend to rotate it back down. And same thing goes here, right? We're coming back in from the low, currently at the overall low. We've got a quarterly VWAP, so this is the volume weighted at like a, you know, volume moving average essentially. Comes in right here as well, so you got a little bit more support also. And yeah, just, you know, potential like a 40-50% move if we get this you know, run here to like 10 cents. Then I have an untapped yearly pivot, which is the average of price for last year, which does have a pretty high statistical hit rate that will be met during the, you know, the next session, so this year. And obviously we're 8 months in, so at some point in the next 4 months, there's a pretty big hit rate that we could see that level met. So that's what I'd be looking at, you know, as far as the Doge game would go.
And let me stop you. Let me stop you real quick. I don't mean to cut you off, but Doge is a fun one too, because we always have the you know, the what's the word I'm looking for? The you got Elon Musk. Right, you got Elon Musk. I was trying to think. He's the wild card. That's what I was looking to say. He's the freaking wild card. That's one of the reasons why I've told the story before where I 100x'd on Doge, but it was $11 worth of dust that I turned into 1100, which was great, but like it was freaking $11, so I was pissed because I would never put $11 into an asset, right? But yeah, he's always, it's one of the reasons that I have looked at, because I look more at fundamental things, you know, surrounding some of these crypto assets. And he is always that freaking wild card. And Doge, as low as I believe it is right now, I've been looking at it. I've been paying attention to it, as much as it pains me to say it, because it's still a freaking meme coin. I think he has taken Dogecoin to that really next level, to where people respect it as, you know, a legitimate project. But what were you going to say, CVO? I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have something else on Doge or no?
No, I think that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there is a lot of projects out there that people are paying attention to right now. And I want to remind everyone, if you haven't been in crypto long, the reason that we always kind of kick it off with Bitcoin is because everything is tied to its hip and it needs to do its thing generally first. You will have some outliers. You'll have some random news, like CVO was saying, that will come out. An acquisition will happen. A company will start using like Polygon Matic. I think there was news a while ago that Disney was using Polygon or whatever. It got a big surge. So you will have stuff like that happen. But overall, on like a macro run, things don't generally run without Bitcoin, and that's why we go with that. I want to run over to a chat real quick. Somebody had asked, we're just going to do one off the cuff. We try to do these once in a while. Somebody asked, Crypto Gamer in the house, he's always watching, so Crypto Gamer, shout out to you. Can you guys chart Caspa so I can compare? Thanks. Army, any chance you could chart that for me, brother?
Yeah, pull it up. It's actually pretty interesting. So I had actually done this over on Crypto Gem Hunters, evidently back in May of this year.
Okay.
And I was talking to him about watch the cloud here on the Chart Prime Oscillator Pro, and it was starting to get really tight low. And the last time we had something like that, it led to all of that. And so I had showed them this, and I showed a little trend here, and I was like, you know, we came up here, pulled back down. We're retesting a nice line here. Well, that trend line, I haven't even seen this, but it almost hit it here perfectly back in July, and it looks like it continues on. So, yeah, Caspa looking pretty strong. However, if I pull up the other oscillators, well, first let me show you on the dynamic reactor here on the volume flex oscillator, or volume flex reactor here, we've double tested twice on here. So I would watch if it does pull back that 2.6 range, being a retest for support. There's really good support there. But when I start pulling up the other oscillators, just like I had showed back here in May, we are starting to get tight here, and it does look like on the daily that the ribbon is about to twist and pinch. You can see here it pinched, we went up, here it pinched, we had a little pullback, but the bears couldn't keep control of it. But you know, previously, like here, we did have this that came back down. So I would watch, because it almost looks like we have a new trend line here. I would watch for this to be your new trend line, that we come back down to if this momentum continues. But one thing that does concern me is nope, that money flow looks good. This blue wave here is money flow. I wanted to check that. Money flow looks good, but RSI primed does have us sitting here. So this is a free indicator, guys. It's from Chart Prime. You can go in and just type in Chart Prime, all one word, and it's called RSI primed. And what it does is it turns the RSI line into candles, and you can either run it on Heikin-Ashi candles, which matter of fact, back here I even said on here that in this time period that it was a good time to get in. You can either put it on Heikin-Ashi, which I have it on right now, and you can see that it is getting ready to flip down a little bit, just like it did here. And we had a little pullback to that retest. So it's very likely that sometime in this week or the next 7 days that this may flip back down to come back and retest this trend line. But the really cool thing about this is if I put it on Japanese style candles, typical candles with chart patterns, it will give us chart patterns from Chart Prime Stings. Like here, we had an engulfing candle pattern, and that led to that downfall there. Watch for it when this does start to cool off and get back down into the 30 range. If it's on support and you have this free indicator on, and this would be green at the bottom, that would be an amazing re-entry if you wanted to add to your stack or whatever, watching on that. But I do see that we have this, if we put this back on the Heikin-Ashi, excuse me, put this back on the Heikin-Ashi, it does look like we are starting to level out again like we did back here for a little pullback. Yeah. And mind you, that wasn't a huge pullback. I mean, from the top to the ultimate bottom, 22%. In the grand scheme of the bear market, that's not a lot on the altcoin. So just consider that, hey, another entry point. Just watch that trend line. So I'd be looking here at about 0.41 coming in here, making a little support line off of this previous level here, previous level there. 0.41 on that trend line would be a good entry for me. So it's Caspa.
Thank you very much. Shout out to everybody in the chat. If you guys want to throw one randomly in there, we try to do those for you. So I appreciate you all for being here. Smash that like if you haven't already, and put the bell notifications on. Make sure you're following Army. Make sure you're following CVO. Caspa is one of those projects that I haven't dove into. I don't really know a ton about it, but I've been hearing people talk about it a lot. So let me ask, CVO, Army, do either of you know anything about this project?
Not fundamentally. No, I don't. I just know that I do a lot of TA with the crypto gem hunters, and they do like tokenomics and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And they were talking about it at one time. And so they said, hey, will you do some TA on it, Army? And so I threw it out there, and evidently I called a really good bottom. So.
Yeah. It looks like it. It looks like the TA is working for you, brother. That's why we bring you on here. Let me kind of go back to back with you, Army. ADA gang, put them up, smash the like if you're part of the ADA gang, put a 1 in the chat if you are a part or consider yourself a part of the ADA gang. ADA has been an important asset in the crypto space for a long time now. You hear Charles Hoskinson talk about how he doesn't care about price. They don't really advertise much at all. I think it's part of the reason why the price action sometimes can be kind of, quote, stale, but it's been a solid project. Is ADA going to be immune to the upcoming possible dump, or what are you seeing on the charts with ADA, Army?
So ADA's been getting beaten bad, man.
Mm-hmm.
So these little wisp here that you see, come here, drawing tool. Thank you. These little wisp marks here, these are called prime ranges from Chart Prime. And when we're in these areas, you can see they kind of act like trading ranges. And we have right there, I don't know if you can see it, but that little tiny red dot right there is the lower prime range that we're coming into. And we haven't held this one. We've broken it now. So I could see us coming down to the 27-cent mark here easily. Some other things that I want to point out, though, that I've been watching is we go and grab this fib here.
What are we at right now?
We're currently sitting at 28.8 cents.
Okay.
So I do see some more downside coming in. If you actually look here on the fibs also, that little red dot that I pointed out right there is actually going to come right into the golden pocket here also, which is running like 27.25 to 27.7. So I could see us coming down into here. And if we don't get support here, then I'm ultimately looking down here at about 25 cents. Nice psychological number. And it's going to be hitting on the platinum pocket. And then lastly, if I pull up and drop a fixed range volume profile on here, we're going to take it from over here and click it. That's going to be sitting with the value area low at about 25.8. So I'm looking at 25 on the downside if we do not hold the golden pocket at 27.2 on
okay.
ADA.
Yeah, I've stacked a decent little bit of ADA over time. I like what they have going on over there. So I'm glad to see that. I might have some more opportunity to snag some more. I'm currently looking into some alts to put a little bit more cash flow into. I know I'm trying to get out of US dollars a little bit more and more. Let me just ask off the top as I say that, CVO, are you? So obviously we know the dollar's having problems. The United States government's got all sorts of craziness going on, but it's hard to diversify in a way to protect yourself completely, right? Whether it's with businesses, real estate, cash, gold, silver, crypto, stocks, obviously all of those are options. Are you currently thinking that exiting, at least in some portion, cash is a good idea or a bad idea? I've heard people kind of discussing this recently. I'd like to hear from both of you, but I'll start with you, CVO. Do you think that exiting out of cash right now is a good idea or a bad idea? And if so, what's kind of some things that you would be looking at?
Well, I mean, real estate probably is always, a win in a sense, even though we're, pretty over exuberated in that field. But the answer to that really for me, man, is when you look around. So I'm a big proponent of the real estate market, right? The housing cycle, kind of leading the charge on the overall markets as a whole.
Yeah.
We got some pullbacks and things like that right now. And even like looking at Bitcoin, you're looking at like 25K, 23K, whatever. That's 12-15% pullbacks, which is just, we're so used to these small little ranges at this point, and everybody's super fearful about like 12K, but these like normal pullbacks are just what they are. They're just normal, right? So for me, I anticipate all markets, and the biggest one being because of housing, to really run until like 2027, 2028, 2029. I'm not really worried, honestly, that anything's going to happen overnight with the dollar. I think that everyone is, really making that out to be like it's something that is going to occur immediately. And I just don't, even if it is at jeopardy of some degree, it's probably not going to even be felt for 50 years or, X amount of time.
A long
right.
time.
So, could that be wrong? Absolutely. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about it in the sense of feeling like I have to get all my cash out of the bank, before the end of this year or whatever
Right.
the case is and put it somewhere else. I think we got some time, and honestly, diversifying into real estate, certain, stocks, crypto, of course, but, also having your strategy as far like, yourself, you said you had a long-term play, and you really have to kind of figure out what that means for the individual. So for me,
Yeah.
I'm really looking for the end of this decade to be potentially what everybody expects the market to be now, where you're hearing all this recession and all that stuff, where we're not really seeing it. It's slowly just still trickling up. That would be the time for me where I'd probably want to exit certain things and kind of focus on that. But for now, I really don't think it's a huge issue to be concerned with personally. So,
Army, what are your thoughts?
So my wife and I actually just had this conversation, I think last night or maybe 2 nights ago. And I said, look, like I do see there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of red flags on the macroeconomic side.
Oh, yeah.
That makes me a little worried. And I have a substantial amount of money in crypto. I don't want to see it be cut in half because we have a 50% pullback. And I was like, do we put it into some US dollars? Do I drop it over on US dollars on Robinhood and collect 4.9% on it? But as opposed to leaving it in crypto. And then ultimately, so the people that don't know, and most of my crypto is sitting in 2x longs right now. I'm in 5 cryptos. I'm in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Doge, and XRP, and they're all in 2x longs, all of them making money. So I was like, I'm not going to close these out and pull out this money out and put it into US dollars. I'm just going to go ahead and open some shorts to hedge and protect my money. So I'm in longs on all of that on 2x, and I'm in shorts on all of that in 2x. So hedging against my my losses. So as of right now, my money is staying static, and I'm still up a lot. So
is that what they consider is that a straddle?
It's a straddle.
It's a straddle,
also
right?
known as a schlong.
A schlong, a short and a long. You heard it here first. A straddle or a schlong, so you could straddle the schlong. Take that.
And there's Eric Wallen right there. Army is schlonging. Yes, I am.
Smash the like if you are interested in Army's schlong. We definitely love talking about Army schlong on.
Drop some ones in the chats if you guys want to see me pull up my schlong.
That's right. Drop a number on what you think about Army schlong. All right, let's move on. I'm going to get us way off topic here. CVO, anything glaring that you're seeing in the altcoin markets as a whole that you think people need to be aware of, kind of just like the altcoin market as a whole? I know a lot of times I've seen you in the past pull up the actual altcoin market versus Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything that you see that's kind of like alarming or good, bad, indifferent, anything?
So I've been kind of dancing around the current little situation here with all the alts and everything, and one of the things is so I got Cardano pulled up just to kind of. It's fine. I mean, I can kind of go over with this example though, but it's kind of something like, I know everybody's really cautious right now, and fearing like 50 and 70% pullbacks out of the altcoins, or at least that's just the thumbnails I've been seeing as I kind of peruse real quick. So I don't know if that's the general sentiment or not, but definitely anticipating pullback out of Bitcoin, right, where you're looking at 25-6 K region, at least for now. And with that being said, everybody's going to be worrying about their altcoins, as you should. The only thing that I really do see, which is interesting to be popping up kind of across the board, the only thing about it is it's just it's a little high risk at the moment because we are anticipating a pullback out of Bitcoin. But even for Cardano, right, you got a nice old quarterly range here. Once again, just a nice high time frame deal. This is not something that short term play, weeks to months. Most people can kind of swing trade this in a sense on just spot holds. But we're living outside the range, so you got a little deviation at the moment. So in theory, yes, we'd be anticipating a little bit more lower. I think Army just kind of showcased that gold pocket either right below us or whatever. But get a bounce back into this region. We've got an untapped pivot, so an untapped average of price, right? So you always hear people talk about the mean reversions, and this is kind of something that they'd be kind of referencing, is that we tend to revisit the average of price for the different time frames. So this is the one for this month, coming in at like 32 cents. Not a huge move from where we are now. But what more interests me is that once again you got a nice high right here, right? So if we're going to see a little bit more downside out of the alts, or the market in total, right? Anybody shorting, where's that stop loss at the moment going to be? Probably not even, I mean, this is pretty far away. It's like 20%. So I don't think stop losses would be even up there except for in spot. But in general, right, excitement would kind of re-enter the market if we were to come back up and take the current high on a Cardano. Just above it, though, is a little box area I'd be looking into, which is like 39 to 40 cents. It'd be like a 30-40% push. And once again, just something I'm kind of monitoring across the board for many alts is that I see this like 40% window to like a major target that really wouldn't do anything, but just kind of put in another lower high and maybe we get a dump out of it. Doge was the same way. I just kind of showcased how it's got a potential like 40-50% range that it's in. If you get that move, Shiba actually just ran it. Curve obviously had that really large range ahead of it, but a lot of the altcoins I'm looking at have a very similar situation where they're at some pretty significant, levels of support. If we get a little push out of Bitcoin back up to, how we were discussing earlier, where you kind of come back up and revisit the little local high, not saying, a new high, but like that 30,300 region, you get a few days where the altcoins maybe have some breathing room. You get some, random SEC news, I guess you could go along with. We could easily see 30% pushes out of the altcoin market, you know, over the course of a few days, it happens once again. I mean, this one right here, what was this move just a couple weeks ago? 30% in one day from on July. So that's kind of what I'm, you know, keeping an eye on, because there is a good amount of that across the board. So you know, being able to utilize that at the moment, like, it can be tough, because like I said, you know, you do have to be at risk that we could just drop from here. But I have set alerts, you know, looking to get back in these regions, paying close attention to Bitcoin to see if we do get a little bit of a rise up, at least short term. And I think we got like 30 and 40% opportunities across the board, you know, if that does occur. So hopefully that answered that question, but it's just a little bit of a short term outlook on some things there.
For sure. No, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Crypto Gamer just said breaking news. I pulled this up a second ago. Let me see. PayPal launches stablecoin on Ethereum. Now, I have not fact checked this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to assume he's not. I'm going to assume that he's not trolling us live on the stream here, because he's a loyal follower here. I wonder if it will have a yield on it. That's interesting. No, it won't have a yield on it. I'm going to tell you right freaking now, because PayPal is probably in the SEC's pocket or vice versa. So no, they're not going to have a yield on it, because they're going to, you know, be a good little boy or a good little girl. And
it's true though.
You know, you saw it. It just came out.
Yeah, we talked about it on Investing Bros this morning. It came out this morning also.
Okay.
And Bloomberg even had an article on it. Yeah, they have a stable coin,
and it's their own, and it's like their PayPal stable coin, and they launched it on the Ethereum mainnet. Is that's what's?
Yep, I mean, it's on the Ethereum mainnet. But so what? I got pros and cons on it. One, like it's PayPal, man. We already know PayPal's in bed with the SEC, right? So no, it probably will not have yield on it. I would put money that it doesn't have yield ever on it, but it does offer experience for people that don't know how to get into crypto, a way to like that's what I like about some of these things like PayPal and doing it. It does introduce people to the adoption of crypto. So I do see that this is a way for people to get experience with what stable coins actually are, and go, oh, it's money. Exactly. It's money.
I think at some point, and I don't think it'll be that long from now, I think that especially as we move towards the CBDCs, I think at the point that we are full on CBDC, it's not going to be a CBDC. It's just going to be money, like you were just saying, right? And so I do as well agree with you. You know, it's frustrating on one side where you see some of these companies come out and they offer crypto, but like, are you actually in crypto? Because you're really not. You're buying derivatives of crypto, but you don't have to get all that. You don't need to give brand new people all of that information right off the bat, because it's probably too much to handle all at once. Like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I mean, I just bought it, I own it, right? And so that can be kind of like, wah. But at the same time,
that's when you're in crypto right there, Keeper.
Yes, exactly. And we're old school. We like the hardware wallets. We want to be our own bank. But you're right. It does introduce the idea to people, and the people will say, and it will give some validity too, because they say, well, wait a minute, PayPal's not out to scam me. PayPal's in crypto. PayPal's got opportunities for me to learn. You know, they have like the little learn. I know Venmo does too. I think they've got like the little learning opportunities where you can like learn what is Bitcoin, what is Ethereum, and they have some stuff. I think Cash App does it. There's a number of them that do it. So you're right. I think it gives an introduction. So we'll see how that plays out. If people start to actively, use it or not. Only time will tell. But thank you, Crypto Gamer, for throwing that out there. Let me do a couple quick fire questions for you, gentlemen. For both of you, let's see. I'll start with you, Army. Do you have a different trading strategy when trading alts versus Bitcoin? Like, so if I'm a newer trader and I say, well, hey, I want to get into trading, or I just started trading, or even if I've been trading for years, but I've never figured out, do I trade Bitcoin differently than alts, or is it just, nope, same strategy?
Geez, it depends if I'm scalping or if it's my long-term trade strategy, Keeper.
Okay, tell me.
If I'm scalping, I will wait for Bitcoin to move and then trade the alt.
Kind of like as the indicator, like, hey, it's about to happen. Okay.
Yes, Bitcoin is definitely an indicator for scalping. Okay. On the long-term trades, not really, man. Like I said, I plan on running all of my crypto on 2x leverage trades. So, which essentially all I'm doing is tripling,
betting that it's not going to go down 50%, or
yeah. Well, So I do 10% entries at a time. So even if it goes down 50%, I've still got 90% of my portfolio.
Okay, gotcha.
Like right now, I'm in 20% because I did the long and the short. So I'm in for 20%. I still have 80% of my money. And as it goes down, I can take that profit from the short to enter on my long and move my entry even lower and have even a better position. So
that's smart. That's smart. I like
it. Man, I don't know anyone who trades like I do. So
no, I like it. I mean, it is. It's hedging. It's a little bit different way to look at opportunities. It's saying, hey, I want to be safe here, but I also like the leverage play, because if we do get a big move to one side or the other, hey, we just throttled that baby by another X.
To be clear, my crypto is not USDT into whatever. I'm actually trading the token on inverse contracts into the token. So my margin on my ETH trade is ETH traded at 2x against ETH, which means my profits are paid in ETH, not USDT. Yeah. So I'm literally doing this just to scrape free crypto into my wallets as it grows into the next bull run. So, which is parabolic, by the way, on the exponential growth rate. You would be mind blown.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I hope you do really well on it, because that means I'm doing well also. CVO, do you trade alts any differently than Bitcoin, or you kind of do the same strategy?
Yeah, I don't necessarily introduce leverage into anything except for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Any altcoins, that's why you kind of always hear me mentioning the altcoin setups and things I look for. You really don't need a leverage. Obviously, if you didn't nail it, then that's great. Or if you do a 2x strategy, I think that obviously also has some good rewards to it. The only problem is that most people are not going to stick to 2x. That's definitely the thing, but definitely rewarding if you can line that up correctly. But for me, I just I do look at altcoins a little bit more in the sense of how Bitcoin is performing, and you do have to kind of take in. It's just like when you're in the stock market, right? You're looking at the indices, before you start messing with some of the lower stocks. So if Bitcoin starts to roll over, or you have that bias, I guess you're gonna have to anticipate that for the altcoins as well, and kind of adjust accordingly. So but for me on the altcoins, I'm more of a spot hold and spot buy and hold type of deal. And then Bitcoin, Ethereum are the two that I just heavily will chart out and analyze and do more of the shorts and things like that on those two, versus trying to short some of the altcoins and stuff like that. So
they're more predictable.
It's not necessarily predictable, but it's just you're gonna have to pay attention to them anyways before it's like an additional step where it's like, and then if I get a 10% drop out of Bitcoin, and you get a 20-30% drop out of the alt, so it's just a little bit more I guess the word is less volatile in that aspect. Granted, they're all still pretty much the same, but that makes sense. It's kind of like you got to pay attention to Bitcoin anyway, so that's kind of the one I go for on that regard.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I've learned that over the years, that hey, the reality is, unless I don't know that it will ever happen, I really don't know at what point the rest of the market will decouple from Bitcoin, or if it ever will. I do look at it the same way you do, CVO, like looking at the indices and then saying, okay, well, the overall market is looking like this. This gives me an indicator that probably I should be looking at doing this. So I totally agree with that for sure.
Right.
All right. So let me ask you both gentlemen this. Each one of you, give me a random alt over this next bull run that you think, if you just had to pick one, you don't have to chart it, but just give me an alt, just a random alt that you think is going to make a crazy move this next bull run. Now, let me clear this up real quick. I think that a lot of alts are going to make some crazy moves over this next bull run. If Bitcoin does what we hope and think that it's going to do, we're going to see big moves all across the board. And crypto, is definitely far and beyond what you see on a big move in the stock market. So to be clear, I know we'll see some big moves no matter what, but something in particular that maybe stands out to you that you really think is primed and ready for a big move this next run. Army.
Crust Network.
What is it?
Crust Network. CRU. Yes.
What in the hell is that?
It is a storage token. That's its utility purpose. Its tokenomics are amazing. Shout out to Crypto Archie and the Crypto Gem Hunters for dropping that one on me with its knowledge. But no, look, everything is going to need data has data. Metadata exists when anytime there's information, right? And you got to, if you're going to have it decentralized, it's got to be stored someplace that is, yes, like pizza crust. It is crust network. It has to be stored someplace that is also decentralized. Well, that means you're going to need decentralized storage, and that costs money because you're gonna have to pay to store stuff anywhere. Go try to store something somewhere that and see how
tell them you don't want to pay.
How cheap it is, right?
Hey, can I store this here? I don't want to pay for it, but I need to store. I need to put this car in this garage here for a while.
Yeah. Look, I think I made a ton of money on Crew during the last market because it was tied to Polkadot ecosystem. Yeah, so these chains are going to lock onto these storage tokens to store their data, and they're little side projects that make money off of the existence of another decentralized exchange or decentralized service. So
I've not heard of that one.
Very bullish on it. I actually think it's got potential of a 50x plus. So shout out to Crypto Archie and the boys over there at Crypto Gem Hunters.
Crust. How insanely cheap is the pizza crust right now, Army?
The current price on Crew is,
and it's CRU.
CRU is the ticker. Yep.
Okay.
Current price on it right now is 80 cents.
What's the market cap?
I have to. Yeah, I'd have to pull that up.
Let me pull that up real quick.
What I like about the Crypto Gem Hunters, while you're pulling that up, what I like about the Crypto Gem Hunters is they look at utility and then they look at tokenomics, and they really dig in deep. They have a whole team that digs in deep on that, and this is one of their really bullish projects that they talk about all the time. So
the market cap is it's at $11 million. Okay. So it is ladies and gentlemen, that is a low capper for sure. And hey, to be clear, we are not giving financial advice on this show whatsoever. We are talking about personal opinions of something that we think might have the opportunity to do well. Don't go mortgage your home and blame Army for, Crust Network, getting eaten up by some fat dude.
Let me be clear. This is a very high risk, very high reward token. Sure. I've only got to put this in perspective. I
only have $8 million invested because I need to be careful.
I have well over 100K in Ethereum. I have like $300 in Crust.
Right. But hey, if it does what you're hoping it does, $300
exactly.
Baby, that's a big that's a big move. You know what I mean? So
I call my small caps, I consider them lottery tickets, and I get my lottery tickets from Crypto Gem Hunters. So
I like it. Shout out to Crypto Gem Hunters.
I'm on there a lot doing TA for those guys. So
I like it.
You should bring Archie on sometime. I'll get
hook
you
me
his
up.
Contact info.
Hook me up with him. Does he do TA stuff or
he's not a TA guy? I do all the TA for the entire team of Crypto Gem Hunters.
Okay.
There's some really interesting folks over there. One of them is SSM Crypto, and he actually lives in Nigeria.
I'll have to check him out.
Crypto is not just a way for him to make money; it's literally his way to protect his income. Because the banks are so corrupt.
A lot of banking issues.
Great dudes in the Gem Hunters. So
cool. I'll have to check them out for sure. Shout out to them. CVO, you got a fun random one. Well, it doesn't have to be fun, but you got a random one you're looking at.
Water gun to my head, I guess, if I was gonna look for something that had a potential for an explosive move. It's actually a fan favorite or a little bit of a larger cap as it is. I'd like to compare it to like a Cardano, right? So looking at how Cardano performed in the last bear market to bull run, where it dropped to like 3 cents and basically made new all-time lows throughout that bear market, and then rallied to $3. Don't take my word for it, I guess, but Algorand I think is something that's got the potential to see a pretty good run here. So
okay. Algorand and Crust, you heard it here first. Not financial advice, just throwing out some, and I'll throw one on there. A lot of you that have been following me for any amount of time, I'm going to stick with my tried and true. I do still hold this, to be clear. I'm not trying to shill a project but I really like this project. And it's Audius. It's Audius. Ethereum. Yes, it's Ethereum. It's definitely Ethereum. That's definitely
Audius.
It, right? Yeah. No, it's Audius. And the reason I love music, and it's a decentralized music streaming service. I candidly wish I would have taken profits because I had actually jumped in kind of heavy on it. And had the opportunity to really pull some nice profits. And, like CBO was talking about earlier, one of the hard things to do is actually take and reap those profits. But like Army said, nobody ever went broke taking profits. But yeah, I could see that one doing really well. I could see that one doing really well also. All right, gents. I appreciate you both for being on here. It has been a fantastic show. Everyone on here, if you are not already following Army Piper and CVO, their link is down below. Don't only follow them, but turn on the bell notifications. Obviously, turn on the bell notifications for us here at Debate Crypto as well. We love you all for being here. You could be anywhere on a Monday afternoon, but you're here with Magic Money Monday, hanging out, checking out the altcoins. We appreciate you all for being here. Just remember, question everything, trust nothing. And until next time, hodl like it's hot. We will see you soon.